I don't know, a muskrat maybe? Muskrats are kind of smarter than him, so I mean...
He doesn't know. He was new to the equipment. We weren't here to help him.
You're such an ass.
Is this what you do to your employees? You're like, hey, you don't know how to work this thing and you screwed it up. You're an idiot.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
pretty much it.
I didn't know how to work it.
Figure it out. I mean, like, what do you think we did? We figured it out.
Yeah, we did.
You push buttons until something changes.
You push buttons until something changes.
And looks like he pushed buttons and didn't wait for the right thing to change.
Yeah, he didn't know, though. It's okay.
He's sensitive.
We'll figure it out. We will figure it out.
Fixable.
Yeah.
It should be fixable. It will be a mess because every single if he did have it like that, every single one of his episodes will be just one block of audio, and I would have to go in and snip it all out.
Well, I guess the good thing is it shows you where the pause is. No.
Well, there'll be a pause in that it'll stop.
Okay.
And then I'll pick right back up. So I'll have to like listen to it because it should just be one block, one stream. It shouldn't keep recording. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I thought it gave you an indication that it had paused. I thought it like made the little mark in the file where it paused.
I think it does.
Okay.
I think it does. Okay. I think it does break it up. But we'll see. I can't remember. It's not like the old Roadcaster that would just chop everything up into 30-minute segments. This one will keep going. But I don't know. We'll
Why don't
see.
you adjust his camera? I mean, you hit record before you adjusted his camera.
Oh, jeez.
And the headroom's all wrong. Now, he could lower his chair.
I could do that.
No, don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that. I got you. Okay, it doesn't go up any higher.
All right, I'll lower the chair.
No, I can do this. Watch.
David says he can't get any higher.
There we go. Look at that. There you go.
All right.
Perfect.
Hey, are you going to focus it, or are your eyes just that blurry?
They are that blurry.
Oh, look at that. Hey, have you checked
Crispy.
the other cameras? Make sure that nobody's kicked them.
I don't. Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there you go. Ugly as ever.
Yep. Chunky as ever, too. And look at this, Mr. Slim
We have
Jim.
the cross. What are you talking about? We have the cross camera.
Huh?
The camera puts 10 pounds on.
Well, I know. I'm just saying. I'm Chunky Duncan, and you're all Skinny Winnie.
I'm not skinny Winnie.
You're Skinny Winnie now.
I'm part of the chunky club right now, too. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm okay being chunky. It's okay. Fine with it.
The food is good.
That's because you haven't gotten your blood work back.
Yeah. I'm
That's
gonna work
the
on
problem.
it. I'm going to work on it.
Well, wait till you get it back, and it tells you you're going to die.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the thing: it's not the death; it's the
misery before the
it's the misery before death. Yeah.
Is WebMD still a thing? That's where you go to find out how you're dying, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you search anything on WebMD, you're going to find out you have a very, very bad condition.
100%.
I don't know who in the hell was using my microphone, but they don't know what the hell they're doing. Braxton.
Here's the thing: it turns out you probably do have that condition. It's just really hard to diagnose it. Most of the time, it's just symptoms. Yeah, most of the times it's just symptoms. So a lot of times they can't tell you definitively because it's like, hey, it's kind of a process of elimination. You have this condition. We could try this. How do you feel? Better? Great. Then I guess we've got it fixed. You don't feel any better? Let's try this.
When the body is a machine, right? Like at the end of the day, the body's a machine. And
kind of,
it runs on chemicals, and it runs on electricity, and it runs on oxygen, right?
It's all chemicals.
Yeah. And so like it's just
Just chemicals.
Blob of no, it runs on electricity.
I get it, but the chemicals that need to be there, otherwise the electricity will not be produced. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I'm just saying.
That process of elimination, sometimes doctors are like, well, let's try spark plugs.
Yeah.
See if it gets any better.
That's exactly what they do.
That is exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yep.
I have very little faith in them. They've
at this point, no.
They've upset me. I mean, I guess like if you're like on your last leg and you have to go to them, you don't have a choice. But
the problem I have is it's not the doctors are going to do what they're going to do. They're incentivized to go in a certain direction. I get it. It's the people that blindly follow what the doctor is telling them.
Yeah.
And they don't stop and go, this follows no logical path.
Right.
Like this doesn't make any sense. It's like the guy, like you're saying, hey, my car's running rough. I went to this one person who told me to throw spark plugs in it. So I threw spark plugs in it, didn't fix it. I went to this other guy, he told me bad gas. So I emptied it out and filled it back up. It's still running rough. It's like, okay, can we stop and can we maybe run some tests? Maybe go follow a logical path that will lead us in a specific direction. Nobody stops to do that. So my doctor told me to take this medicine. I'm like, okay, what's the medicine for?
Yep.
It's for this. What causes that? No. Cheeseburgers. Like, quit eating them. But I like my cheeseburgers.
There was this lady, and I may have mentioned this before as we've been talking about this for the past couple of months, but there's this lady who we went to church with, and she was diagnosed with MS, right? And it wasn't, MS is one of those deals that it can happen slowly over time. You degrade and things get worse.
Sure.
Some people, it happens all at once, but this woman had some symptoms, but they weren't severe. They weren't like a big deal. Goes to the doctor, is diagnosed with MS, and like 2 days later is in a wheelchair, right? And I think a lot of it, I'm not saying that in her instance it was, I think it was psychosomatic, right? But it wasn't a situation where she wasn't actually feeling a certain way. But buddy, let me tell you what, those doctors ate it up. And they, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. Let's do this. Let's do this. They destroyed this woman's health, right? They took somebody who was a normal functioning member of society and ran them slap in the dump. And if they had just let things play out for a little bit instead of getting her on these medications, then she was addicted to opioids because the pain, and it's just the
medications triggered the rapid onset.
Oh, and then some of it was probably just her.
Yeah.
Buying into. So I'm listening to a podcast, and this guy's talking about how he's talking about the power of the mind. He mentioned the book. I can't remember what it was, but the guy talks about a study that they did in which they had found a specific gene that made you more capable of cardiovascular capacity. Like if you did aerobic exercise, you could go longer and harder if you had this specific gene. And so what they did is they took a group of like 6 people and a second group of 6 people. In the first group, they told them they all had this gene. Now the catch was only half of them had the gene and the other half didn't. And then in the second group, they told them that you did not have the gene. Same thing. Half of them did have the gene, the other half did not. In the group that they had told had the gene, all of them outperformed the second group that was told they did not have the gene. Despite the fact that this second group had the gene and could have gone harder and longer, because they were told they didn't have the gene and didn't think they had the gene, they underperformed the people. And the people that didn't have the gene in the first group ended up outperforming the people that did have the gene in the second group.
It's really interesting because we watched I don't know if it was a documentary or just a news story on a family, and these Alzheimer's researchers had found that there were certain genes and there were certain it was historical events that had happened in these people's lives, and it was being at the right place at the right time. These chemicals, all of these different things came together, and it was like a guarantee that you were going to have Alzheimer's. And so they looked at this particular family because of where they lived and the environmental conditions, all this stuff. They came back and they said, hey, there's a really high probability people in this family are going to have Alzheimer's. We're treating one of the family members that has Alzheimer's already. Let's dig into this and do some research. So it was a 25-year research on this one family, right? And he never told them which ones had the genes and which ones did not that were going to cause them to have Alzheimer's. Now, in that 25 years, 4 of the people ended up with Alzheimer's. But there were 3 people out of that subset that were convinced, they had told themselves, because he said, there's some people in the crew that have the gene, this and that and the other. And he was talking about it. And he said 3 of these people had the exact same symptoms of the family members who had Alzheimer's and were convinced that they had dementia and Alzheimer's and knew it. And he's like, if you did a clinical test on these people and you were a standard doctor and you didn't know the history and everything else. He said, you would accuse them of having Alzheimer's. You would diagnose them with Alzheimer's. And he said, you know what the cure was? And the person said, what? He said, I just showed them that they didn't have the gene. He's like, they never had the gene, but they had convinced themselves. And so their mind responded and acted in accordance with it. And he said, we saw pathways in the mind change, that they had told themselves so much that we saw electrical pathways in the brain change to the point that they had almost given themselves Alzheimer's. And he's like, the reality is we were able to take steps and step back from that. But he said it was literally, it wasn't like you can give yourself Alzheimer's, but you can reprogram your brain to think there are certain symptoms that are real that aren't.
Well, that goes to your immune system and everything, the power of your mind to affect that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's been studied, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and same situation. They brought a bunch of people in that all had supposedly gluten intolerance or celiac disease or whatever, and they all fed them, had told them initially that, hey, this is completely gluten-free, and they made sure that the entire facility was scrubbed down, the food had absolutely no traces of gluten or anything, fed all these people. They come back in and they go, I'm sorry, turns out there was some gluten in the food.
Yeah.
And even though there was absolutely no gluten anywhere, these people had a physiological reaction. Yeah. This isn't like, oh, I feel sick. No. Some of these people started breaking out in hives, started having itching, flushing, vomiting. Like they had all these physiological reactions to just being told they had been exposed to what they thought they were sick of.
Yeah.
They weren't ever exposed. Just the power of the mind. Insane.
Yeah, I like that kind of neurological power because I'm the guy who I'll be like sitting next to the toilet throwing up going, I don't think I'm actually sick.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, let me figure this one out.
I think you can tell yourself to a certain point, like, I'm just going to tough it out. But sometimes you do have to stop and go, I should probably listen to my body on this one.
Well,
and stop.
Well, and you know, then there's the real situations, the actual physical failures. There's some research that was done on the Chernobyl liquidators. I don't know if you've ever watched any of that and seen that. Mm-hmm. There's some really crazy stuff that happened around those guys, and they were not told what they were walking into. They were just like, yeah, jump up there and shovel these bricks. It'll be fine. And
nobody was told that, hey, you're going to die in about 2 years. Your eyeball's going to melt out of your head.
I don't think those made it that long. They're
like, hey, just put this suit on. It'll be fine. Yeah. Oh, okay. No.
Good old USSR. Freedom at its best.
I think I've seen too many different Chernobyl like documentaries or whatever you want to call
HBO show was awesome. Did you watch that one?
What's true about it or what's not anymore.
What? Really?
I don't.
It is fascinating. There's a ton of research out there on it. There's a ton of information.
Did you watch the HBO special?
No, I haven't.
It's probably the closest.
Good.
Okay.
It's probably closest to what really happened.
Yeah, it is killer.
I saw one where people were growing extra limbs and like had
none of
mutated children and stuff.
And you know what's so interesting about it is that the area around Chernobyl, the exclusion zone, grew back, and like the animals came back. Now, some of the animals had mutations and lived shorter lives, this, that, and the other, but they all came back in full force when humans left, right? And it was kind of interesting to see that. There's a lot of really neat information around the subject, and so David will tell you one of the things I really, really like is like failures, what happened, like pinpointing the timeline of events of how it happened and why it happened. That is a super interesting story between somebody who did not know as much as they thought they knew, making a decision, and then everybody else following that decision and playing out based on what he said because he was the boss and he was in control, even though they knew something was really wrong, right? And it's
didn't it turn out that the guy that was telling them everything's fine, just didn't want to get in trouble?
He was determined to complete the test.
Yeah.
Even though, and he had been told by the company that designed the reactor that there was no chance that anything would ever happen to the reactor. His attitude really came from this, and I think it was a cultural thing because at the time, failure was not an option for them. Like it
probably meant your head.
Yeah, exactly. And so he was
You're off to the gulags.
he was determined to do it, and so they did the test, even though they knew something was wrong. He didn't properly analyze the data that was coming back from the test, and so he responded incorrectly and made things worse. And then he pushed the double Z button, and the world changed forever.
How about the world?
Well, it did. Go back and look. Go look at the cancer instances worldwide after it happened, because it spread. You have to think that the radiation from Chernobyl spread all over Europe. It got into the upper atmosphere. I'm sure they would love to tell you that it didn't, but cancer instances definitely increased worldwide when it happened.
Not only that, it also having to put a big damper on our research in nuclear technology.
Yeah.
It reshaped the future of technology.
And it is very safe technology.
I think we were fine until 3 Mile Island.
Yeah,
I think 3 Mile Island is what killed it, at least in the U.S. Because there's in other countries, it's like they're still using it.
It's pretty cool to get to see 3 Mile Island when you fly into Harrisburg for tools. You see 3 Mile Island as you fly in.
Can you? They're opening it back up.
Yeah, it's a. It's the
Where they're putting the Disney villains.
Did you watch the documentary on it?
I think I started to, didn't quite finish it. It wasn't as good as the Chernobyl. Happened in our country, and like the bureaucratic incompetence and like the corporate corruption, just because I knew it happened in our country, like the one in the Soviet Union, it's like, okay, commies. It's what, like, what else? Like, that's what's going to happen anyway. But watching it, knowing that it happened here, and it just makes me mad.
Hey, you know what? Fukushima, in my opinion, is probably the coolest one of all these accidents, because there's, and I don't know how true this is, but if you go back and you do a little bit of research, you find out. Well, let me ask you this: do you know who built Fukushima Daiichi's plants?
No,
it was GE. Yeah, GE
Nice.
built those bad boys, and you know when they built them? Like shortly after World War II. And so the generator rooms were initially substantially higher than the rest of the facility, and they were like way up out of the way. So if there was ever a tsunami, it was engineered that the generators wouldn't get hit by the tsunami. And GE's engineers came in and said, no, that won't work. They need to be lower. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, we're going to put them down here. And so they put them at sea level. And so a lot of people kind of question, like, was there some intent behind that? And then like later, oops, sorry, our bad. But
yeah. Well, why would they want to blow it up?
Well,
Or
just
let it fail.
Just in case.
Especially like as it's blowing up or it's melting down, and like the fish are all dying and everybody's dying. The GE logo is in there in the background. Everybody's looking at the GE logo from the helicopters flying around.
Well, you didn't see any GE logos. And I don't even know that they built the plant. I think they engineered the plant. And
Designed by GE.
Yeah.
Do they
Made in
believe there's
China.
no such thing as bad publicity?
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
And who knows if it's even true or not. But I think what so many people brought up, if you bust that on top of the equipment, like hold it down low and then bust it. But I think what so many people questioned about that was, you're talking about a time that was during the North Korean conflicts. And so, or the Korean War, right? Mm. And so there was a lot of concern about the stability of the region as a whole. And so I think that they might have had some influences that said, hey, if we needed to do something terrible, how would we do that? Oh, those generators should probably be down here if you want to do that. Just saying.
Our government wouldn't do anything like that. Get out of here.
Yeah, it seems pretty conspiratorial there.
It is. So that's what I'm saying. It was a conspiracy theory. I didn't think it up. I didn't design the theory. I was just saying that I was reading about Fukushima Daiichi.
Yeah.
That comes up. That's a major topic. There's a lot of Japanese people who really believe that the U.S. kind of like inserted fist and twisted.
Oh, after they dropped a couple of bombs on them.
Yeah.
They started it.
Well, the podcast just got canceled.
They may have started it, but the conspiracy theory is that the U.S. knew it was coming and let it happen so they could get into the war.
And I don't.
Not that I'm not saying that. That's the conspiracy theory. You brought up conspiracy theories. That's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, there's that's a really interesting point in history because they were notified, and there were decodings of Japanese transmissions that indicated that they were going to attack one of two places, and so the commanding generals thought for sure they would attack somewhere else. That they surely wouldn't be bold enough to do that, and they did it. And they even had a little bit of warning time to react, and probably didn't react properly to the situation at hand once they heard about it.
In retrospect, it doesn't seem that way.
No, I'm with you.
What do you mean?
That maybe we should have done something if we knew that attack was coming, rather than just wait for it.
Well, I think the public sentiment was that we don't get into the war. Up until that point, it was we're going to stay out. We don't need to be involved.
Didn't the World War II situation ensure that Roosevelt was reelected? Like he got an extra term, or what was the deal with that?
He was hugely popular after that. I don't know. He got 4 terms, so
yeah,
died in office. I don't know.
You and your politics.
I'm not getting into politics. I'm just saying.
Let me ask you, what did you think of Roosevelt?
Did you know that they apparently had arrested a guy from a foreign country that they knew was conspiring to assassinate Trump?
Really?
A few days before he got shot in Butler. They knew. You know what they didn't do? They didn't up security. This wasn't like some nutbag in a forum and they found him in a basement with some guns and they were like, I'm going to shoot the president. Like, that was not the situation. The situation was, this was a foreign agent from another country, Iran, and Iran
does not like Trump at all.
They had evidence. They arrested him. The guy's like, yeah, I got a family here. I got a family in Iran. I was about to fly back. Yeah, I was here to kill him. Like, that was my deal. That's why I was here.
He's got a whole list.
And they're like,
he?
What's that?
He's got a whole list of would-be assassins.
Apparently.
It's just a matter of time.
Well, this was like 5 days before he got shot. And they're like, so we have a credible, like, we stopped a possible assassination here because this guy was very far along his plans. Maybe we should do something with security.
Yeah.
Nah, it's fine.
You ever been to the JFK Museum in Dallas?
Nope.
That's really cool. And like as you go through, you like learn about the family and you see all these things and you hear about what they had for a meal that day and you like see the whole day. Like,
and then you get to the part where he gets shot and they're like, it was a lone gunman. He did it by himself. Nobody else was involved.
That's the
Quit
best
asking
part.
questions.
That's the best part is you get around the corner. Like you get to where you walk up and they've got the rifle set up where he was at. And you walk up and you can see the floor where he was supposedly laying. And the boxes and everything that he was in between are still the same boxes that are sitting there today, right?
Supposedly, sure.
And so you go around and you're reading about it. And there's like this huge thing in the middle of the floor where the FBI built this like model. And so their model is in there. And it's behind glass and you're reading about it. And the very last thing that you see before you walk out is that there has been no conclusion to this case and that the FBI will not certify that this was the accurate conclusion of the case. That they don't know the answer and there will never be enough evidence to determine if what they think happened.
Unburied.
Yeah.
Well, you saw what Trump said about the whole, he's like, yeah, there's lots of stuff that couldn't come out. And he was apparently convinced, I think it was Mike Pompeo that convinced him. Don't quote me on that. I think he said it was Pompeo that convinced them, you cannot put this out. It will endanger our credibility on the international stage and blah, blah, blah. Like he gave him a list of reasons, like do not release this information. Even though it's a bajillion years old at this point, we're all beyond it. Nobody trusts the government now at this point anyway, just release it. Anyway, he didn't. He promised he would if he got elected, though. So we'll see. This will come out after the election.
One way or the other, huh?
What's that?
You think one way or the other?
Well, I mean, unless we all get shipped off to World War III and I can't actually post a podcast, I'll be fighting in Ukraine with the rest of you yahoos.
I would, man. I tell you what, if we're depending on David to defend us in Ukraine, we're in trouble.
Well, not defending us. I mean, yeah, kind of, because we'll be getting shot at by Russians. I'm just saying, when we get shipped off to Ukraine, like they do, you've seen the videos of them chasing down able-bodied men. No. Have you seen the videos of them chasing down able-bodied men that have tried to get out of the country or tried to skip out on fighting?
No.
They pull up in vans, and they chase the guy down, throw him in the van, put him in uniform, stick a gun on him, and ship him off to the front lines to go get blown up by a drone.
Listen, the old men in my
By a
community
drone! Have you seen the drones?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They look up and they're like, and they start running. And they're like running in circles, and the thing's like, zzz, pop.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Guy's dead.
You don't even have a chance.
It's like this big.
Could you imagine? Braxton with David on his shoulders?
He'll be right
like
next
Bubba?
to me. He'll be right next to me.
Bubba Gump,
Yeah.
Shrimp Gump. Braxton's running at full speed with David on his shoulders.
He's not carrying me out. He's gonna leave me. Are you kidding me?
Run, Forrest, run.
We're gonna be screwed. I'm just saying. I'm just telling for everybody to know that I would not be a good asset to the Ukrainian army. That I probably shouldn't be at the front lines. I'm not a good asset. You're just not going to be making good use of me.
Could you imagine being on the front lines with this dude?
You're not going to make good use of me.
Everything
for the Ukrainian cause.
The mud is muddy. The ground is wet.
What do they call it? It's the people who talk on like the anti-espionage or something. He could just talk to the. He could do the radio, the media stuff.
Yeah. The propaganda.
Yeah. Propaganda. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that.
Not
That
espionage.
is going to be good.
Yep.
Yeah.
We found David's role.
Yep.
We found David's role. That's going to be it. Chief propaganda officer.
I'm going to be chief meme creator. That's what I'll be.
Oh my God.
Isn't Tanika doing that? Is that how you say her name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tanika.
Yeah. Tanika.
Yeah.
She's doing that, right?
Yeah.
You're going to take her job? Seems kind of selfish.
She's not going to get shipped off.
She can
gonna
be
get
the
shipped
local.
off.
She can
Got
be
it.
the local meme
Yep.
creator. He can be the international meme creator.
You're going to get shipped off.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
are definitely going to get shipped off.
Why am I going to get shipped off?
You're from the hills of North Carolina. You kidding me? Like the first area they're going to go to. Hey, what white boys do we have that know guns? Hey, the hills of North Carolina. Let's start there. Then all of Texas. And then they'll start everywhere else. Missouri, that'll be gone. Indiana, shipped off.
Maybe they have records of it, but they didn't want me back when I was a teenager.
You know what I think?
No, you're not getting it. I'll show you the videos of old men. They can just walk.
They just
They
need
are
bodies.
kidnapped.
Yeah.
Yes, they are out of men to kill. To send to war. They're out of able-bodied men. So at this point, if you're caught at all and you're a Ukrainian leaving the country, trying to skip out, hiding so you don't get shipped off to go fight the Russians, they are kidnapping you and sending you to the front lines to get blown up by a drone. That's about this big.
Drone swarms. Call of Duty, baby.
It's bad, dude. That was a video game. This is real life. They are building these things like 1 million a minute, 3D printing them. They're 3D printing these things, and they just chase people down and blow up. That's what they do. That's insane. Insane. You got to get really, that's what you should, in fact, everybody's watching this, go practice shooting drones out of the sky, because otherwise you're going to get blown up.
Are they going to paint them orange like clay pigeons?
Ooh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
No, you can't be able to see them. You're just going to hear zzz and see the little
There's some
black
way to see them.
spot.
They'll create a heat signature or something.
Yeah.
So you're going to use
We're gonna find a way
infrared
to
or
see-
something?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah?
That's all you got to do.
I mean, they
Little infrared
definitely,
scope.
they definitely.
I just want to point out that you need to be shooting at them with whatever the hell the Ukrainians are using to shoot Russians with.
Oh, Ukrainians
I feel like
got it
birdshot
going
would do
on. Yeah, birdshot would definitely do it.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Knock them out of the sky. Break the
I don't
propellers
know
off
what
of
we've sent over as far as arms go, but
Probably like missiles and stuff. They just need 12 gauges.
them. Yeah. Be fine.
12 gauges.
I
aren't
feel bad for
expensive
these
enough
guys.
to
I was
send
watching
over.
this one video. The guy was like, he climbed out of the tank, saw the drone, and then started running circles around the tank. The drone ended up getting him. But like, why not climb back into the, and he panicked. And like, he saw the drone and he's like, oh,
I don't have the same YouTube as you.
what's it? This
I
isn't
don't
on
see any of
YouTube,
those.
dear.
Well, you know,
I'll send you the video though.
there was a conspiracy that said that the reason the government and YouTube were working together to get the gun videos off of YouTube is because it was exceptionally harder to start wars when our foreign opponents knew how many Americans had a large arsenal of weapons.
What?
Yeah.
So how
Like,
does that make sense?
So our government wants to
YouTube
make us
gun
seem more vulnerable?
Yeah, the whole conspiracy theory. The YouTube gun community is insanely huge. Have you ever like looked up guns on YouTube? Just
Sure. But YouTube is enormous. That makes sense.
yeah, but like the gun
You see the
community.
cat community on YouTube? It's enormous. It is what it is.
I'm not about that, man. I'm not about that.
I'm just saying there's a community for everything.
Yeah, but the gun community is like one of the big ones,
Okay.
real big one.
Guns and cars are.
I guess I need
and
to ask. I
cars.
don't understand. Like, where do these people get the money to buy all these guns? I mean, there are some nice guns on YouTube. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, for
lots
sure.
of
They
them.
get it from
depends on
YouTube.
how big the channel
Yeah.
is. Yeah, depending on the size of the channel.
We watch a lot of that stuff on our lunch breaks, right? And
Yeah.
so the guys will have like off-road Matt, and all of a sudden there's Whistling Diesel on there, and he's shooting guns with the demolition Matt.
Oh yeah.
They just get together and do YouTube stuff.
Did you
Yeah.
see the video of the is it Kentucky Ballistics where the
Yeah.
50 cal blew up and almost killed him? Did you see that?
Yep.
Holy cow, that's scary. The 50 he was using like a reload, and evidently there was a problem with the reload and it blew up and it popped his jugular. And so dude's dad comes over and's like, "This is gonna hurt," and shoves his thumb in his jugular and like holds it shut. It's a crazy story. Yeah, almost bled to death. Just like that.
He had posted the videos up, and YouTube took him down within like 12 hours of posting them. But
Yeah. It
Of
was
him getting his jugular
Yeah.
ripped open. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say that's probably against community standards. This whole video is
it
going
was
to be
educational.
against
community
standards.
standards.
yeah, it's educational though. Like how
Buddy,
to
I'll
save
tell you
someone's
what.
life if their jugular gets blown open by a broken 50 cal.
Skinny
Well-
Medic, they defunded or they demonetized his channel.
Yeah, that stuff is really skirting the lines, and they'll shadow ban you. They shadow ban a lot of stuff, so you'll never get found. You don't get your subs don't get notified of the video, and then I've seen comment sections get disabled.
Yep.
You didn't do it, but the comment sections get disabled. They have all sorts of weird algorithmic nonsense that they enact on channels they don't want. They want everything to be Mr. Beast videos, except for the diddling stuff. Other than that,
Yes. Hopefully there's an abrupt end to that.
probably
I
not.
never
Somebody else
enjoyed it.
will.
Like I didn't get him. I didn't like
yeah.
his channel at all.
No.
Yeah, but it wasn't geared for you. It's meant for like 9-year-olds.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
but
not.
I mean, Jacob kind of has the mentality of a 9-year-old. I mean,
Yeah, that's fair.
It's fine.
It does?
His parents are really cool.
Okay.
Did you gather that from my parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to talk about it.
Yeah.
They said he was a little slow, and he was the slow kid.
I had to ride the short bus.
They said you didn't ride a bus.
No, I didn't. I was homeschooled actually.
Were you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good though.
Yeah, I was exceptionally troublesome in elementary school, so they pulled me out in 4th grade.
Did they really?
Yeah. Serious.
I could see that.
Yeah. Yep.
That's not a bad thing though.
That's what made me socially awkward.
You're socially awkward?
Yeah, I wasn't able to acclimate to other kids.
Yeah, going to school doesn't fix that.
It helps.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I'm just saying from the other side, I went to school.
Right.
I am very socially awkward. Like, mostly that I don't like it. Right. So like I avoid small talk or like niceties.
Who was it the other day?
So we go down to nobody wants to hear your stupid story. We go down to go see
I had a
the
question.
ASOG dinner thing, right?
Yeah.
And this gal is showing us the room, and she's walking around, and this yahoo's just yammering away with the most meaningless, like stupid, vapid small talk I have ever heard. I just wanted to just shove cotton balls in my ears. Like, this is awful. I can't believe I'm gonna listen to this. But they were just enjoying themselves. They're like, oh, what the weather? Blah, 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 blah. Weather.
Yeah.
Who cares? Who cares?
Well, that
But
was
you
what I
sit
was
there.
getting ready to say. You should probably move to Finland. Isn't it Finland that they don't have small talk at all? They have
outlawed.
classes for their students to teach them how to engage in small talk if they go overseas.
You know, I have seen that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to the elimination of vapid small talk.
It's just because y'all suck at it.
That's true.
Wait, you're a northerner.
The people that
He's a
are
Bostonian.
supposedly good.
No, I'm not saying
It
I'm
sounds
good at it.
stupid. It's like it's such a waste of breath. Like,
We're in
how
the
about
South.
we don't
It's
talk?
common courtesy.
In Michigan,
Why?
every year we have to talk about like two things. It's the weather.
Lutefisk
It's not
and
the
what?
heat. It's the humidity. And then, well, you got to be glad it's still warm because it's going to be snowing soon. Like, it happens every year. Like, can we get used to it at some point?
No, it
See,
sucks.
that's not homeschooled telling you that. That's just how you were wired. That you could have gone to school, come out of school, been completely around people and been like, everybody's an idiot. I can't talk to anybody. They're all morons.
I'm
Not
very
you,
grateful
dear.
for some
No,
of my
I'm all right.
education for giving me that. I feel like I have a leg up on some people for that.
On from being homeschooled.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just telling you that had they stuck you in school, you just maybe would have been more bitter.
Yeah, you are pretty bitter. Hate life pretty much. All the
I don't
time.
hate life. I hate a lot of things in life.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're on the same. I was a little worried there for a minute, like, oh, he doesn't know. Somebody should tell him.
But I don't hate life, you know. It is what it is.
I mean, at some point, when the percentage of things in life that you hate exceeds the percentage of things you don't hate, you kind of have to say
it's not numbers. It's how much do I hate all these other things as opposed to the things that I do like. See what I'm saying? So I like 5 things, right?
food.
Okay, maybe 6. So I like these 6 things, but I like them so much more than I hate everything else. See? That's all it is.
I get that. Yeah, I get that.
Makes sense?
I'm still a little worried about the ratio.
So, sometimes when you have our outlook on life, you just have to focus on the gratitude. You know, it's those 6 things, and just reminding yourself, you know, while you're doing head gaskets on a North Star or something.
Oh, that is bad.
You don't do
You
head
just have to go,
gaskets on
you
a
know what,
North
I'm-
Star.
I don't either.
You stud
I'm
them
just
or
saying,
whatever.
it was the worst thing I could think of, right?
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
You just have to go, well, you know, while you're taking them head gaskets out, you just go, yeah, I'm doing this for my family.
Hey, you want to hear something that'll make you go,
I just hire
what?
somebody. I don't.
The actual fuck
What?
is this dude thinking? I think he said something the other day that he's converting his shop to a Euro shop.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah, just because he loves Seth so much, he wants Seth's ARO. I'm sure that's what it is.
I do, actually.
Yeah.
I talked to him about the new building, too. I was like, hey, is this a good deal? Should I do this? And he's like, yeah, you should definitely buy that.
Right?
Yep.
Seth is very smart.
Mm-hmm.
He's exceptionally smart.
Yep.
Him and David get along very well.
I don't know why he's got beef with me. I didn't do
He doesn't
anything
have
to
beef
him.
with you.
You
It just
make
makes you
it- you make it-
uncomfortable, and Seth loves it when he can see that you're uncomfortable.
I
around
don't.
him.
I don't get uncomfortable. Seth. The Seth
Well, you're
does not
both-
make me uncomfortable
You're
in
both
any
very
way, shape, or
opinionated.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's fine. But I'm just saying, we can both be opinionated. It's fine. I'm just saying I don't get uncomfortable at all in any way, shape, or form with Seth. Not even close.
You did block him.
It's because he was like following around in my comments, like, and then he smashes the keyboards, like he goes like this when he types, and then whatever thing he hits send, and then he doesn't think about it. Like at no point does he stop and go, I should reread what I wrote. This doesn't make sense. This is just gibberish.
He inspired me to start doing that. I proofread a lot less now. Just like type it, post it, be done.
It'll be fine.
Really?
Yeah,
It's
for
okay.
sure. When I realized like somebody that successful can just do that and they don't care at all. What?
Yeah. See,
Why do I
that's why I
put so
tell
much
Dutch
weight
to,
in retyping my stuff?
I think the exchange of ideas is important.
Absolutely.
Well, you can't have it both ways. You can't be like, hey, the exchange of ideas is really important, but also smash keyboard send.
You'd have
Well,
to,
which one is it?
you know, have you ever seen like the thing where they take all the letters and all the letters in the middle are jumbled up, but the first one and the last one are right?
Yeah.
You can still read an entire sentence.
you are collecting
Just do
information.
that.
Okay, I get that. I understand the words he's putting in. It's just the order doesn't make any sense. And then, like, there's no punctuation or like it's just much.
I think it's voice to text, and
It's not voice to text.
It's definitely
You
not
can't-
voice to text.
It's not voice
when
to
you
text.
when you've got that thick accent, the northerner accent, man, it just can't understand it.
The Minnesotan?
Yeah, Google was built in California in the South. Okay, so I mean,
It does learn your accent, your tone. Like it does learn how you say certain things.
you think so?
Yeah, it's supposed to. If you teach it, there's this function to teach it.
Sometimes I think he types like Joe Biden talks. Just mixes some words together, makes some new ones up.
Maybe.
That's effective.
I don't know. Anyway, all I'm
Joe
saying
Biden
is
is an effective communicator.
Yep.
He's negotiating for our country.
This went off the rails.
What? I'm just telling you.
listen.
That's what the piece of paper said to say.
81 million people voted him into office, is all I'm saying. And I'm not saying I didn't or did.
They can't all be wrong.
That's all I'm saying. It's like 81 million people. I don't know how 81 million people didn't think how this was going to end up turning out. Some of us knew a while ago and went, this isn't going to end well.
Who was your favorite president?
Vladimir Zelensky.
So effed up.
Sorry, David, I didn't mean to speak for you.
The memes of him dancing on the pole as Biden's like chucking dollars at him, fantastic. Or the meme of the Ukrainian soldier it's like, remember who you're fighting for? He opens up his locket and it's Hunter Biden. Like, it's like, remember who you're fighting for.
It's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. Who was your favorite president?
Grover Cleveland.
Okay, why?
So while Grover Cleveland was president, a depression hit, and that like big depression, and his economists kept telling him, "We got to intervene. We got to do something," and he didn't do jack squat. He did nothing. He was like, "Nah, gonna go vacation." Guess what happened?
Balanced out.
Bounced right back up. Economy was better than ever. Not because he was a genius or he knew what he was doing or he's like, I got this, or he was like libertarian minded or he believed in the free market. No, he was just completely inactive. He just, I don't know what to do. I don't let it do anything. Let it do what it's going to do. And he didn't do jack.
Yeah.
It's a good president.
You know, think about some of the decisions that I've watched my dad make where, instead of reacting when everybody else was saying react, let it just play out.
See what happens.
Favorite president or most hated president. Sorry.
You know who was a close second?
Who?
Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
That guy was a psycho. Yes. Anyway.
Who was your most hated president?
Hated? I don't hate people. What are you talking about?
You hate everyone.
No, I hate things. I don't hate people. I hate things that
connected
people
to people.
do,
Yeah. Yeah.
but not people. Who's your favorite president? Why don't you ask our guest?
You can't put me on the spot. Like,
Yeah, I want to know.
I'm not a history buff here. I'm gonna pick something like, I don't know. Let's go with Abraham Lincoln. He seems pretty good.
Oh, I watched a video the other night. It was like a little reel on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, this is awkward. And they're sitting at a bar and they like pan left and it's the news story up on the screen.
Abraham Lincoln watching the Trump assassination.
Assassination, and he's sitting there like, that's awesome. Because like this dude's like an Abraham Lincoln impersonator, and then he's just
that's funny.
Whoops.
Poor guy.
I don't know. I mean, I know that David hates Truman. I liked Truman for a couple reasons.
No.
Jim Carrey.
Well, Truman.
Truman.
Truman's okay. He's not okay. I mean, he killed a lot of people, but I can see that he may have thought he needed to do that. That he felt it was
the Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Dropping the.
So my take
bombs.
on that is based on the information that he was given. That was the right decision to make, and he did a lot to try and minimize civilian losses.
Yeah.
Right? He did
drop
work
the flyers, sure.
Drop the flyers, played music, sent like word, begged the Japanese people, begged the emperor to, hey, like, please, don't make me do this. I don't want to do this. I'm going to do this, but I don't want to do this, right? And his belief system, I think, is ultimately the reason that happened, is because he had always been taught from a young age, the story or the little plaque that said on his desk, the buck stops here. Like nobody else is going to make a decision for you. You have to make a decision.
Yeah.
And so you think about that position being put into that. Roosevelt dies, you know nothing about this weapon. And they walk in the room hours after you become the president of the United States and say, hey, you have to make a decision. You have to do it now. By the way, this could suck, right? Like our bad. Yeah. I mean, what do you do?
I don't know. It was a tough decision for sure. I don't know that I would have dropped it, but I can understand. That's why I probably wouldn't put him at the bottom. Woodrow Wilson, however,
yeah, he was pretty
was pretty scummy. He was a dirtbag. Ruined the country.
Who's your most hated president then?
Yeah,
if you don't have a favorite, who's your most hated?
I'm not really I had to step back from politics and everything. I don't know a whole lot of the presidential history, who did what. Not big on that.
Yeah.
So I can't say that I would particularly dislike anyone.
Yeah. I think Eisenhower did some pretty shady stuff. I think he was a good president, but I think that is where this American...
He vindicated himself with his final message, though.
I think this is where the American military complex comes from. Which final message? The one where he killed Patton?
Maybe, but the very end where he's like, "Hey, so I got the ball rolling on something that's going to end up destroying this country. My bad. Sorry. Here's your warning. Nobody will listen."
Well, I think Patton. The reason that Patton got killed was because Patton was saying, "Dude, you are going to make such a mess.
It'll be fine." The
reason that. He goes home and Christy's like, why are there glass beads in your pants, David? Patton was trying to warn the American people and warn the American political system that, hey, like Hitler's bad, but the USSR is way worse. The Red Army is dangerous as hell, and we probably should not be working with them. We probably should not have this engagement. And then Patton got killed right after he said that. So
I don't know. Turns out he was probably right, just from a sheer death count.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty crazy story. And I mean, I don't know. You know what's sad is most kids today don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I feel vastly undereducated on it right now.
Well, I mean, our local school system sent out a letter to parents saying that they felt like parts of the story of the Holocaust were inappropriate for schools, so they weren't going to teach anymore. And it's like,
really?
Listen, just because you do not like it, it's like the Whoopi Goldberg thing at the beginning of Looney Tunes, right? Just because you don't agree with it and just because it's uncomfortable to hear doesn't mean it shouldn't be told, because that's how you avoid it happening again.
Right.
Right? And so a lot of school systems have stopped teaching about the Holocaust. And there's some that even question whether it really happened or not. And it's like, are you kidding me?
I don't know. Those people are crazy.
Those who fail to learn from the past are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I have seen that they've tried to tone down some aspects of history. But at the same time, though, some of the stuff that they put in history books are wildly inaccurate, and some of it is whitewashed, and some of it is, presented in a specific light. I don't know. It's difficult to get proper perspective or be able to teach they should know it happened. They should know the details. We watched Schindler's List as a kid. I think it was in 7th grade.
Yep.
Yeah.
They played it for everybody. The parents could sign and say, I don't want my kid watching that, because there were some nude scenes, but not just the Holocaust nude scenes. There were like some sexual activity, but they played it for everybody to watch because they thought it was important. You should know about this. But, I don't know. It really falls on the parents. It falls on the parents. You got to teach your kid.
I mean, I think that is something that I have watched play out in our, because the story about my daughter and the guidance counselor and all that. Well, one of the things that I think about when we look at that and pay attention to the other kids in the school, well, that's what their parents are asking for. They're asking them to let them do whatever they want and not to enforce the rules. And why is it that my kid has to have the rules enforced on them? That's not fair. I don't like that. Right? I want it to be fair. I want it to be fair. Well, life's not fair. Right? And teaching them that life's fair and that they should just complain to somebody until they get what they want. And like, I was thinking about this the other day. Right? Think about your shops and think about the way that people come in and act like, because they're upset, you should have to change everything and you should have to stop what you're doing. And just because they come in and want to yell about something, that somehow means that, and they don't have to take into account your perspective. They don't have to take into account the things hey, I've set these policies in place for my shop, right? They don't think they have to abide by that. And so there's so much of society that's like that now, right? I'll just show up to a restaurant and bitch about the food to get a discount.
Right. And unfortunately, the easiest thing is to give in to it.
Yeah.
The easiest thing is to say, oh, yeah, I mean, my technician's in the middle of this other job, but of course we'll go out and we'll look at your problem.
Yeah.
Because you're the squeaky wheel. You're the
you've
noisiest
taught them
problem.
that's what you do, and then you've taught them that if they complain, they get their way.
Yep.
And it turns into a damn thing. And I don't know. I think that's what we've done with society, and I don't think you fix it.
You end up with bad Google reviews. I have several, trust me. I have several that are just, we didn't accommodate them exactly how they wanted to be accommodated. I've got one that I responded with a snarky response, like, dude, like, no, we did right by you. You were being unreasonable. Sorry.
We had a customer who didn't answer their phone. We called him for like 3 days straight. Never answered every time we called them. Picked up his vehicle, everything was fine. Left us a 2-star review. They did really good work, but they didn't communicate at all.
Okay.
That's
you can't
hilarious.
make some people happy.
No.
You just can't make some people happy.
I got a guy in my BNI group. And so are you in BNI?
No, there's somebody else in my town who's in it. There's only one, so.
Oh, start another one. You can start one.
All by myself?
Yeah. You start one and then you go recruit for it, because there's more than one realtor, there's more than one plumber, there's more than one electrician, there's more than one.
That's
you know
fair.
what I'm saying? Then you can just go start one. Anyway, there's a guy maybe in my town there's like 7. Is what I'm telling you. Like, just go start one.
Okay.
It's this guy in my BNI group. He comes and drops the truck off and he's like, hey, I want the transmission fluid done, I want oil change and my lights fixed and wipers. Policy is, we quote it out, we send it, they approve, then we do the work.
Yep.
Because everybody needs to be on the same page on how much this is going to be. Well, this is some weird Ford transmission that's going to be like $500 to do the fluid. Okay. Now, I'm sure in his mind, he's thinking, that's a fluid flush. It's $180 because that's what it is at Walmart or whatever, right?
Right.
It's $500 to do this transmission fluid. So we're texting, calling, texting. He comes to pick up, and my shop manager's calling me, going, "Hey, what do you want me to do with this?" He's like, "He's in your BNI. Like, what do you want me to do?" I'm like, just do the oil change, do the wipers, do the light bulbs, all cheap stuff.
Yep.
We don't even charge to install bulbs and wipers. We just
don't
charge. We just like a little 30% markup on those parts and sell it. And I said, just do the oil change. And then when he comes in, explain to him what happened. Well, he doesn't show up. We can't get a hold of him. It's, I think, over Labor Day. He wanted the vehicle by the end of the day. Isn't answering us. It isn't nothing. The shop manager just ends up texting him going, "This is the code to get the keys." He's like, "Do you want me to just leave it outside?" I'm like, just throw the keys, lock it away. I see him every week. He's not gonna skip out on payment.
Yeah.
Well, he ended up skipping out on payment for like 2 weeks. He didn't pay me. And calls, and he's like, "Why didn't you guys do the transmission?" It's like, dude, we were calling you. You needed to approve it. Like, why weren't you picking? Like, we don't just do it. Yeah, but I told you to do it. But you didn't know what the price was. We gotta get your approval on the price here. Well, next time I tell you to do something, just go do it. You guys weren't trying to call me. I don't know. We called his office. The guy was just like, he had made up something. And I went back and verified. I'm like, what did we do to her? No, we didn't do everything right. Like, we didn't explain. We weren't explicit about the process at the beginning.
Yeah.
We weren't explicit. Like, you got to tell them what the steps are.
Yeah.
If you don't expect them to know. This is the first time here. But the guy had like built this narrative in his head. He comes in and to pick up the vehicle, and he's asking, he's like, because we locked his keys in the thing. He picked up his, he never came to pick up his vehicle. He ends up coming in over the weekend, left the vehicle sitting at the shop, comes to pick it up. He comes in, talks to the shop manager, and he's like, "I don't understand why you didn't do the transmission." He's like, "Where's David?" I had pulled a muscle in my calf. I wasn't walking. And so Juan tells him, he's like, "Oh, he pulled the calf muscle." And he's like, "He's at home. He's not doing well." Somehow he thought he thought I had pulled a back muscle. He's a chiropractor. So he's like, "Hey, I heard you had a back problem." I'm like, "I didn't have a back problem."
Oh no.
And he's like, "Oh, well, why would your shop manager tell me that?" I don't know. I like, dude, I got rid of my back problems. I don't have back problems anymore. Like, and he's like, "Huh." I'm like, "Are you sure that's what he said?" "Oh yeah. I'm sure that's exactly what he said. I don't know why he would tell me that. I wasn't exactly." So I'm like, "Juan, why'd you tell him about the back problem?" He's like, "Dude, I didn't tell him about the back problem. That guy hears what he wants to hear. This guy like hears every third word and then fills in the rest. Like, what do you do with somebody like that?"
Interesting. How'd you fix your back problems?
What's
all of them?
Yeah.
Permanently?
Oh yeah.
What'd you do?
I'll tell you. We can talk
It's
about
a
it.
secret.
No.
Okay.
It's like it'll put me on a tangent. And,
Oh,
you know.
all right.
Yeah. I don't want a tangent. He can say
I
whatever
actually
he wants.
really
I think he
enjoy his
lost
tangents.
I do too. I think he lost weight.
I know. Oh, I fixed it before that.
Did you?
Yeah, full weight. I had him fixed. He's got back problems.
Yeah, dude.
My wife
doesn't
has
fix
back
it.
problems.
Does she?
Yep.
They're Romanian deadlifts. That's
Okay.
what you do. That's it. Romanian deadlifts every day. Every day. Start light, good form, hinge at the hips, move back, engage the core, hinge at the hips, move back, keep your legs fairly straight. Do a little bit of bend at the knee, go all the way down. Full range of motion. What a good stretch on the hamstrings.
Okay.
Back problems are typically overcompensation from the back muscles for something else that's not working.
She had a bulged disc from falling off a ladder.
Well, yeah. If there's
Had
as
surgery
long
on it
as
twice now. So
as long as there isn't something structurally wrong. But even then,
yeah,
a lot of
strengthening the muscles is
times
going to help it.
Well, yeah, a lot of times you have incredibly weak muscles along the spine because there's muscles that run up and down the spine that keep everything balanced, right? Keep you from wobbling, right? And then, especially for the lower back, hips and hamstring muscles are usually way underdeveloped. And because they're underdeveloped, anytime you do something, your back muscles, which are not meant to hold a lot of weight or do a lot of actual strenuous activity, ends up overcompensating for something else that isn't doing its job. So Romanian deadlifts absolutely fixed, because just in doing them, you go light and then you progressively overload. So you want to do a full stretch, full regiment. So you want to do like 3 to 6-ish sets, 8 to 12 reps. Once you get to 12 that you can do easily, move up in weight, and you just keep progressing until they get heavier and heavier and heavier. And all of a sudden, you develop your hamstring muscles, glutes, hips. Those are now working. Your back's no longer doing the work, and your back stops hurting. The other thing too is farmer's carries. So kettlebell, it can be a dumbbell too, just something heavy on just one side.
Pail of goat's milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick it up, go walk, and then put it down. That balancing act, that specifically, a lot of people, like most people do it for obliques. Mm-hmm. And that's if you want like huge muscular obliques. But the other thing it does is it fixes the, see, he's completely disinterested. He's like, I'm not doing any of that. I just want to get a pill. Anyway, it'll strengthen the muscles, the spinal erectus muscles, the ones that run up and down your back. It will strengthen those particular muscles because it's trying to keep you upright while you're holding something really heavy on just one side.
I'm just going to start carrying brake rotors out.
Yeah.
They're not heavy enough.
No? Two of them?
No. You're a big boy. You need something heavier.
All
you
right.
need 60, 70 pounds. You pick up something heavy.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be challenging. Like if you're not breathing heavy by the end of the walk, it's not heavy enough.
Listen, I breathe heavy up about 4 stairs.
Yeah, but this isn't really aerobic. It's just you're picking something heavy. By the time you're halfway done through your walk, like it's strenuous activity.
Yeah.
And then you put it down and then pick up the other side and go back. That will fix your back problems. I promise. It will.
I'm going to do it just to see.
I'm telling you should have done it 2 years ago when I told you about it.
You know how many technicians have back pain of some sort and they just work through it all the time? If they would all start doing something like that.
I'm telling you, it'll fix it.
See,
It'll fix it.
Your tangent is going to improve a lot of lives there, David.
I don't know. Then you know what? I wish that were true, because I'm telling you, like, here's what would happen to me. I have a freezer door on the bottom of my fridge.
Yep.
So when it's ice cream time, Fat Boy wants his ice cream. So you get under there. I would open the freezer door, reach down for the tub of ice cream, and just swing him back up. I would throw my back out.
Wow.
Yeah. I wasn't picking anything up. It was like, I'm going to lift this thing heavy, this transmission off this ground, and ram it into this Dodge pickup truck in the middle of the night. That wasn't me. I was just picking up ice cream, and I would throw my back out, and I couldn't walk for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I've put more than one transmission in laying on my back.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah.
That's how he messed up his back.
No, I messed up my back when I twisted when a truck fell off a jack stand.
Oh, that's right. Putting a transmission in it?
No, trying to put the nut on a ball joint.
Oh.
Had a pry bar in between the upper and lower control arm, and I lifted up with my knee. And I guess I just put enough on it that it somehow caused the jack stand to pop.
I know exactly what motion you're talking about.
Yeah. And so I went down like that. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing is I'm not going to deny that what you're saying might help. I went through physical therapy and he had me do lifts and stretches and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But he, at the end of physical therapy, said, hey, I am really concerned that there's something in the lower spine that is not right. There's something that feels funny in it. There's something that you respond really abnormally when we work in this area. I don't think you should keep doing this. I think you should go get an MRI. And so I have been, no, I've not really been trying. No, never mind.
You haven't been trying. Here's the other thing that often ends up happening is it's hypertension too. So just excessive stress. There's a whole book I read it.
I'm not stressed.
We're shop owners. We don't have stress.
Yeah, there's no.
So another shop owner, name is Kyle Logue. He stopped being a shop owner. That dude is jacked.
I am so. You're making me feel like such an asshole. He messaged me the other day, and I've never replied back. Like I told him I'd reach out. I know.
Anyway, he can do handstand like presses. So he will flip up on his like a handstand, and then do presses. It's impressive.
That is.
Let me tell you.
I can't do that in a pool.
Let me tell you, that is some upper body strength to be able to do that. Anyway, he can do those. So that a guy like that, you would think, probably shouldn't be having back problems. Right. But he had back problems where he would be bedridden for weeks, not days, weeks. He could not move. And he fixed it. It was hypertension. It was just like back in the 80s, it was ulcers. People would get ulcers from excessive stress.
Yep.
Ulcers are not a thing anymore. It's not nearly as bad now. It's back problems. People have back problems when they have excessive stress.
What, do you think it's a dietary change that caused that shift?
Maybe. No. Maybe it was just the
nature of stress didn't change, right?
The nature of stress, but the manifestation of the stress. I think if I recall, I have to look up the name of the book, but the guy explained it and said, I think there was maybe a social stigma to ulcers. I can't remember exactly. He did attribute the shift, that it was that they were able to rectify the ulcer issues in the 80s, but the stress levels didn't diminish.
Right.
They were just starting to show up somewhere else. And
Interesting.
And he attributed it to back pain because a medical doctor, obviously, and he was treating people they would come in with back pain, and then he would start digging into it, and he'd find out that, I'm going through a divorce, or I got this problem here at work, or I got this, and then they would work to fix that with some strength training, would fix the problem. It would go away.
I'm working on a North Star.
North Star not a thing anymore, dear.
I know. We got a couple. We got like two of them that people, for whatever reason, want to keep alive.
Really?
Yeah.
You had them checked for mental issues?
Oh, they have them. Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything as difficult to work on as some of those old Cadillacs now still on the road. Minis.
Minis.
No, I mean, you see some ridiculous engineering stuff. Like you get into an N63 or something, you're like, they put the turbos in the middle and there's 10,000 different plastic pipes going all different directions.
Yeah.
You're like, well, it's really complex, but it makes sense. And then you look at the North Star and you go,
yeah, no,
why did you put the exhaust pipe there?
That was, you can always tell when you look at it and you go, huh? And that's because, if I were manufacturing the car, that would make sense. Because this would allow me to put it together over here, ship it to this other plant, and then dump it into the car, and then out the door it goes.
Okay, but I don't like that.
Well, at no point anybody goes, hey, we have to service these shit boxes. We have to be able to fix them. No, that's not going to be a problem. They won't break. Am I boring you? Are you feeling bad?
Why would you think that?
Anyway, the other thing I discovered is a nootropic. You spray it into your nose, each nostril, once a night, 5 times a week.
One day we find out that it was actually meth. He just had no idea. We run into David, his cheeks are all sunk back.
That's how the opioid addiction started, though.
Yeah.
It's just, hey, this helps your pain. Just take this. Take this. Now it's nootropics. It's LSD or something. LSD or meth. Yeah.
Oh, dude, could you imagine David on a trip? Could you imagine that?
I don't...
I'm just saying, like, one day when, you see something crazy happen on the podcast, just know that
he took 2 sprays of nootropics instead of 1.
Hey, David, eat this cookie.
1 in each nostril. It's 2 sprays a night.
Well, 2 in each nostril instead of 1 in each nostril.
It's very calming. You do it right before bed. It's very calming. You got a great night's sleep. It's fantastic. You wake up. If you wake up and you've slept the whole night. If you wake up after a good night's sleep, you feel relaxed. You're like, it lowers stress.
If you wake up.
Listen, you can keep ignoring me. I'm just telling you, there's solutions to your problems. You can keep ignoring them, going, no,
I didn't say there wasn't solutions to my problems.
He did get his blood work. I'm proud of him about that.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Step 1.
Yeah.
Get your blood work. Then we'll figure out what we need to do.
Yep.
I got my blood work done, and they told me I eat too much steak, and that's when I lost all faith in doctors.
Yeah.
Said I need to
Steak
cut out red
or
meat.
cheesesteak? What?
Yeah.
They told you to cut out. What marker did they tell you?
Triglycerides.
We were
Yep.
high?
Yeah.
Where was your LDL?
It's cholesterol, right? Cholesterol.
Yeah.
One of them was high too.
Well, yeah, you should pull them up. So a lot of times you got to look at the ratios. So your triglycerides might be a little high, but that's going to be attributed to red meat.
Folks,
That's not a
I
red
just
meat
need to put
problem.
a disclaimer in here that David is not a doctor and you should not take any medical advice from David.
Yeah, don't take any medical advice from me.
Just
But
in
I'm just
case.
saying,
I'm
if
just
your
putting that
doctor's
out
telling you
there.
to stay off of red meat, you're wrong.
Yeah. Time to get
Red
a different
meat?
doctor.
Really? What's that?
Time to get a different doctor.
He's wrong. But, if you're like, well, I am having French fries on top of that steak, it's like, okay, well, stop eating the French fries or just eat the potatoes roasted and make them like a very small part of the meal.
I did keto for a while, and I lost a ton of weight.
Keto's unsustainable.
Yep.
Sorry, keto folks.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I want to do it again just because I know I can drop weight, but then I know it's just going to come right back.
Here's the thing is that it's a lot harder the second time you go back. into keto.
Dude.
Damn near impossible.
Especially once you have kids.
Yeah. That was a big
I
thing
want
for
mac
me.
and cheese. All right, I don't feel like cooking something else for myself, so I guess I'll have mac and cheese too.
Yeah. I got the kidney stones from keto. And then after that, like life happened and we had a kid and I stopped exercising. I stopped doing all those things, right? And
That's
then
because you were eating keto wrong. What the hell were you eating on keto? Why would you get kidney stones from keto?
I was extremely strict on my
on what
diet.
though? What were you eating? What was the majority of your diet?
The issue with it was vegetables and it was steak and it was butter and it was right. Like I was extremely, extremely aggressive with it. I think the biggest problem was I was not drinking enough water. I was drinking a lot of water. I was not drinking enough
Yeah,
water.
it is diuretic. Like you pee a lot.
And so I'm
But the problem with people mistake keto for like all meat. It's like no, that's carnivore. But keto is high fat. That should be the majority of your diet. It's 70% fat. So you're eating a small piece of meat because it's moderate to low protein. So it's a small piece of fatty meat with a stick of butter on top. That's what you're eating.
I did
It's a stick of
carnivore
butter
for a week too.
for a week.
Yeah. No, that's all the further I made. I was like I need cheese.
yeah.
That was it for me. Like
Yeah. Well,
I was making bacon and then putting a steak on top of the bacon and some chicken on the side, and I was like, yeah, this is great. This is awesome.
Yeah.
No, it was the cheese that did me in. I needed cheese.
you know what's weird is that the only reason I still eat the way I eat, because I'm primarily low carb. Like we'll eat when we're out and about, like I'll eat whatever. I feel like garbage when I eat carbs.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, like hot garbage, dude. And
There's probably something there. I'm just telling you.
yeah.
No? You don't think so?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Maybe. Possibly.
I don't feel as bad now. When I first started dieting, if I did eat a lot of carbs, I would feel sick. Now, I can eat a carb. Like I'll eat that piece of cheesesteak like I did at that Brazilian restaurant, and I'm perfectly fine. Like it doesn't bother me at all. At all. I just know not. Like I know not to eat it.
Yeah.
Just stay away from all of it. Because if I get on it and I start eating that bread with the butter, it's like, oh man.
Oh, man. Okay, man.